Welcome back, everybody. And today we are back here in the world log. And it has been a while, a very long while. But we are here, and we're at the bottom of what used to be under, or what is, I guess, now under the woodland mansion we found last episode. And as you can see, I am very buff because I have been mining for quite a long time. We can actually go back to Iceface of the past and see what he was up to. Okay, everybody, it is Iceface from the past, and it is about 2 in the morning. As you can see, I'm ready for sleeping. But I just got this all set up here, ready to go. The TNT duper flying machines. I just have them set up manually right now, just because I haven't really worked with TNT duping flying machines. I've just used the standard TNT duper, which is this part here, but attaching it to a flying machine has been interesting since it's already 12 blocks. So, first of all, I've got to prime all of these by just putting a button on the second one, and because I mined out this entire area by hand, I have a lot of stone for buttons. So I am perfectly fine with wasting all of these. But then what I can do is just go down the line here. And get this going. Now let's pause and put on a Fulbright resource pack. Here we go. And then hopefully this is a little easier to see. Oh no, there's water there. Okay, I'm gonna have to fix that. You can see all the TNTs just bunching out. Ooh! That was dangerous. Oh no. Apparently tragedy has struck. Oh, tragedy has struck, and I don't have any more observers. Okay. Well, I'll fix that in the... Well, it's already technically morning, but I'll fix it later. But what we can do, for the ones that did survive, maybe we put we put a little space in between which ones we send back. But I just have to place a button there. And apparently having that block at the end means that the duper triggers on the flyback as well. I noticed that accidentally because it stuck to the climbing block I put right there. Alright, well I just have to be careful about that then. I mean, once it gets further down I don't think it's going to be a problem, but just... oh boy. Oh, did this one break? No, it's just lag. Anyway, to future Iceface, that's not very tired. That was all the way back in July, I think? It's been a little while. Anyway, this big hole here, I don't know if I ever mentioned what it was meant to be, is the area I've cleared out for my storage system. Now, I don't know quite how big it is, and I'm still in development of the storage system itself, but the idea is that hopefully it'll be just a very super fast storage system. That was the main constraint I set myself with at the beginning, and now I'm trying to figure out Shulker searching devices and such, things like that. But I don't think there's any way I'm going to be able to avoid making an item filter for every single item, at least for being able to call items out without having a pre-programmed code, I guess. That would still require an item filter for every item. So there's going to be a lot of resource gathering before I can finish that. But I've got this big hole here, And we are not actually going to deal with it today. What we're going to deal with today is, well, first of all, because this is a world log episode, we're going to go around the world and see what else has been done. Well, actually, we can start up here because this is kind of quick. In the woodland mansion itself, we had a little bit of a fire. I've reconstructed the roof and the floor, but everything else is a little bit toasted. But on the bright side, this means I have plenty of space to rebuild the mansion as I see fit, including this room here, which was going to be my storage access terminal area anyway. But right now it just stores a lot of junk. Those are all empty. A lot of junk that I need to move around. Also, I have this secret door here, which, well, after the fire is not so secret. I rebuilt the frame though. But this button here used to be hidden, and it closes up the door like that. There were also some stairs here, some dark oak stairs in the corners. But if I go ahead and press this button again, bing bang bong, it's open. And if we go ahead and close it from this side so you can actually see the closing sequence. There we go. That is the closing sequence, and I believe this is actually what inspired the last video before this one that you're watching right now, which was on the super simplistic double piston or double block extender, which is built right underneath the floorboards here. And we can see at least a little bit of it by going down here. This thing is super simple. It's just that little bit of redstone that I can only kind of see. No, because the signal goes, you know, magic of editing. I did not fail to describe how this device works. Anyway, we get the signal coming in as a 1-tick pulse from this observer, which is on that piston, and that goes into that redstone right there. That's seen by this observer, which triggers this top piston. Then the signal goes over to here into that block, which then transfers to this redstone, which does the double piston extension. Now, in between that, somehow, I think it's, yeah, this observer right here reads the fact that this redstone's been pulsed on and sends a signal over and around, or maybe just up, actually, into a piston that helps pull one block, or the lower block, back into this space here. So yeah, this observer goes up, and I'm assuming there's a piston here that then, yeah, it would pull the block into this space. And if there's a block here, that means that the double piston extension can go all the way up. I think that's the full explanation, but I would recommend just going back to the previous video to see the actual explanation, because it has been 7 months since that video came out. Anyway, that's all we have to do up towards the surface for now. So let's go ahead and jump down. You know, I'm going to try and go the hard way. So we go through here. I'm going to fail. Oh, maybe not. No, I failed. All right. Going through here and down the stairs and failing again. We get to the main area where I'm going to be constructing my, I guess, underground base. The main base is going to be on the surface there. I want to build a giant town, but I'm still in the resource gathering situation. Now, as you can see here, we do have a ton of shulker boxes, and those all come from a shulker box farm, as seen in this next clip that I've cleverly edited in. This is the first shulker farm I'll be building, or that I have built in the world. There will be more to come. I want to build one closer to my main base and storage system, just so that I can have a constant stream of shulkers being produced. But this one, I'm going to try and get inside to show it off. But I also know it's probably going to, give some issues if I do. But inside here we have a shulker, and on the other side of that shulker is a snow golem. Not sure how well I can show that off. But The golem shoots the shulker, and the shulker will then shoot itself because it is actually unable to reach the golem. And because it shoots itself, it will duplicate off into one of these spawning spaces. And above each space is a trip line, so when it opens its shell, it will activate one of the minecarts to go out. Now if the shulker ever kills itself by accident, which does have a small chance of happening, we do have this line right here, which is connected to a main shulker bank all the way down in there. I don't actually know if I left any in last time I left. But we can go ahead and head down. Also, we've got two water streams here. The first one right here is to replenish that shulker into its spot, and the second stream here is to bring the minecarts back to the top and redistribute them. So let's see, I believe this is the way down. Yep, we've got extra materials for spawning in the shulkers or golems as well. So down here is, yep, the main feeder tube? I don't know what to call this. The main Pez dispenser for the shulkers. And so when this fills up all the way to the top, shulkers will bump into the top one and be redirected back into this tube here, which is where we collect the extra shulker shells. Now the setup on this side is purely to either export shulkers back or out to the overworld, or send shulkers back into the system after the main shulker dies. And I wanted to keep a large reserve here because the main purpose of this farm, I believe I've already said it, is to bring shulkers to the overworld so that I can build farms there. And I don't have to worry about accidentally killing a shulker in the overworld and having to deal with massive setup to get new shulkers from some far off end city back to the overworld. So this way I have this one right close to a end gateway, which is right there. Is there a shulker in here? I think there is. If I do F3 and B, yeah, there's one in there. Okay. So that's, I guess, the fail-safe shulker, just in case anything goes super wrong, because it can never heal itself, plus it's stuck inside of this chamber here. Because one thing I found out while building this and had to deal with is that if any of these shulkers accidentally get hit, or actually no, if I hit any shulker myself in the area, all of these shulkers will fire a bullet and hit each other, and a lot of the time they will break the minecart that they're in and start teleporting everywhere, and it is just utter chaos. And I believe I posted a image of that into the community tab, where I was just followed by, probably over 100 shulker bullets at once. And then they also get fired up anytime a shulker gets aggroed on me, which is a little dangerous because I'm coming down here. But when shulkers from the topside farm get pulled out by the minecarts, they'll fall down into here, and they'll either get sent up if they have enough momentum from actually having a shulker in the minecart, but if there is no shulker in the minecart gets to here, and then falls back down, hits this cactus, and goes back into the main feeding system for the minecarts. Additionally, this is a little bit of logic to time the minecart dispensing here, just so that if a minecart comes here and it falls down, it's not going to run into the next minecart coming through and back up the entire system. So it's just a little bit of circuitry to help prevent any unwanted actions. Alright, let's go ahead and head back up top side here. And I should probably check that the golem's there, although I did hear shulkers hitting themselves, so it should be functional. Yep, there's one right there. Going through, dropping down. Did I hit it? Did I look at an enderman? I don't think I did. But we should be able to see it coming up any moment now. There we go. And it falls down to the top, and more will fall down like it. And eventually, I'm going to stay here for a second so you can see it happening. We'll get shulkers filing into this space here, and they will be killed by these minecarts via NTD cramming. So I'm going to go ahead and wait for a bit here. Alright, so we've gotten the buffer all the way to the top here, so we have one shulker that's going to bounce back and forth between these two positions every time a new shulker comes in. So any moment now, we should be able to see a shulker coming in. Actually, do we already have one? Oh, we already did have one. Okay. Oh, and there's one dying right now. And so I don't actually think we'll be able to see them falling through because there's a mine track here. When the cars come off of the track at the top, right there, I'm pretty sure they just instantly link down onto this track. So we'll just see, you know, a shulker just start to die here every time it comes down. But from here, we can go ahead and grab our shulker shells and go on our merry way. And when this ultimately gets full of minecarts, we can just break them here and put them back into the minecart return. And that is the entire system that I've set up here. So now let's go ahead and head back into the overworld and check out some more things that have been done in the last 7 months. And now we're back from the end, I assume. And we're back here. And with these shulker boxes, I was able to more quickly transfer resources to build my gigantic, half-finished, not bamboo farm, bone meal farm, aka moss farm. But all the moss gets transferred into, or changed into not bamboo, bone meal. Now currently this farm is off because the lighting update causes, or lighting updates from pistons triggering causes quite a bit of lag when I'm recording, although it's pretty tolerable when I'm not. Anyway, we can go ahead and turn the farm on here from the back. Currently, the activation is all the way in the back here, because usually I just leave it on unless I'm recording. So, before I actually turn it on, we'll do a quick rundown on the redstone. So this is just a simple clock startup setup, or clock startup, yeah, setup, that's the right words. So two sticky pistons get triggered. One has an observer, one has a block, and that just goes into a repeater clock. Each cycle of this clock, this counter goes around, and so every 2 cycles of this, right, that goes forward. No, it goes forward and then back. That triggers every time. Yeah, so every cycle of this clock, a pulse gets sent to this observer, which sends the signal into this one here. Now this repeater here is taking a 1-tick pulse and spreading it out so that the observer here will then output 2 pulses into the system. Now those 2 pulses are necessary for the stone generator. This is the unbreakable stone generator I showed off, I believe, in the last episode of the World Log, and I used for a moss farm in that episode as well. And let's see. That signal then gets transferred over to the next unit, which then gets transferred over to the... Oh, I'm stuck. Yep. Oh, almost. We'll just go down here. Transferred over to the next set of stone generators. So we have 3 of these sort of rooms here, and each room has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these devices in it. So that is 3 times 6 is 18, I believe. So we have 18 of these stone generators, all working with 2 moss generators each. And each moss generator looks like... Let's just go inside. This here. So pretty much the same as the previous moss generator or a bone meal farm from the previous episode, or maybe it was 2 episodes before. But now, since we have the full length of the stone here for generation, or for bone or moss production, we have 2 pieces of moss that each get bone mealed. And these are all filled with bone meal, all going back and through the system. And let's see, we can go all the way back here and head on out. This is, once again, just the same stone generator, unbreakable stone generator that I had in the previous episode. Alright, now let's actually go back and turn the system on. We also have this minecart system to distribute the bone meal across all of the different chests. And if I leave the farm running, I would say this is probably an appropriate amount of chests to have for this farm. So let's go ahead and turn it on here and get it started. Oh yeah, one thing I did forget to mention was that every cycle, this sequencer gets triggered. You can already feel the lag. And every 12 cycles, so that's 12 because that's the piston push limit. Every 12 cycles, this comparator gets turned on and activates the water flushing system. Alright, let's go ahead and head on out of here and see the system in action. We should actually see some bone meal coming in after 12 cycles. Yep, so that trapdoor sound was the water activating. And we should see some bone meal piping through the system here. There's some coming through now. Alright. Ooh. Yeah, the lag's a little bit too heavy for recording, so I'll turn this off once we continue on. But as you can see, here's one unit here, or I guess 4 units here. So the pistons in the back push all of the generated stone, or just all the generated stone, forward. That breaks all the moss, which then pops upwards onto the block's surface. And every 12 cycles, the water gets dispensed, pushing everything down to the center here, into those hoppers, which go all the way to the not bone meal generators. What are these called? Composters. And the composters turn everything into bone meal. And this really simple item dispenser system here sends everything out of the bone meal, or out of the dropper into the bone meal stream. And with just 3 of these, honestly, it's enough for my bone meal needs for probably the next year. But I'm going to double the amount of bone meal production from this big hallway, just so I think that'll hopefully be able to keep up with my bone meal needs for the next at least 9 years. Alright, what is next? I think that is actually all for what has happened between episodes. I've been pretty busy in real life, but this is what I've been able to get done in my spare time. Welcome, everybody, to the Deep Dark facility. In the Deep Dark here, I've set up a Frostlands, and over here, on the left here, the first thing we have set up is a tree farm, specifically for just general wood purposes, because it's just the mushroom trees here, the crimson and the warped wood, and so in each of these 4 units, we have a tree farm that's going to push the logs out towards the center here. And when I go ahead and press this button, we'll be able to see that the top explodes, followed by a TNT dropped to the bottom. And then, of course, drops all of the wood down into this chest right here. And when I leave this thing running, I still need to get automatic setup back working for the TNT, because I used to have it like that, and then it exploded on me a while back. But once I get that set back up and leave it running, this will just produce chests and chests loads of wood. More than I can use as... or I can't use wood as fast as this thing produces it. So I'd say this is a good speed here. But we'll go ahead and turn this off for now, since we're going to walk away. And of course it also blows up stuff on turn off as well. But we can actually take a second and look at the TNT duper at the top here. it's a somewhat specific timing setup. Now, I don't think I can actually jump over there. There we go. So we've got a line that just comes up here from our button press, goes all the way up here, goes through this tree, and over to this piston for a 1-tick input. That then splits off this way. One way goes up towards the top here to this line that activates the TNT duper, and then the other line goes over to this pulse extender that holds a block back for the first TNT, or it extends a block to hold back the first TNT, and then when this runs out, it will turn this torch back on, pushing this up, and with, I believe that is 8 ticks of delay. Yep, so 2 repeaters set to 4. Whoop, and we fall down. With 8 ticks of delay, that then activates the TNT duper again. And that's all of the timing that's necessary for the double TNTing. Now moving over this way, down the hall. Over here we have set up a snow layer farm. So if I want snow layers, I can just use my regular shovel, or I can grab this shovel, which it needs repair, but it's here. And if I stand right here, I can hold left click and harvest snowballs to my heart's content. And all of them just get thrown in the hopper. Or hoppers, I should say. Underneath, I have an area here where I'm planning to set something up, but I don't have anything prepared completely at this time. So right now it's just empty space to be used at a later date. Right here we have a platform that I will probably be using for a warden farm. That's my best guess as how I could possibly use this. Since we have a Shulker right there, and it's a nice and central platform. Somewhat, at least. Now over here, on this out jet, we have a stone generator, once again, the same design as is on the surface, and a TNT duper up top, and this is just a general cobblestone farm. We can go ahead and turn this on, grab some of the materials that were dropped from constructing this, and we can head on over to the other side. Oh, looks like that path was broken by TNT, but we can go over here and then circle back. And we have the activation lever. I tried leaving this on last time, but it blew up the TNT duper when I left the chunks. So I'll have to turn it off each time I do leave. But since the only way out is that elevator right there, there's not too much worry about leaving it on accidentally. Anyway, let's go ahead and head back down. And as you can see, the TNT drops onto the stone there, breaking it and having it fall into the water. And the stone gets pushed as soon as the TNT explodes, which means the TNT can break more blocks at once. As you can see, in the same tick that the TNT explodes, the blocks move, which means these blocks here can get blown up. Because when when blocks move, their blast resistance gets dropped to either 1 or 0, whatever the lowest value is. And that allows the TNT to blow all of them up much more than if the blocks weren't moving. Because of course, man, this is really going to test my Minecraft knowledge here, but I think stone has a blast resistance of 3. And so that lowers the blast resistance by 2. Or blast... I think it's blast resistance, the stat. Anyway, blast resistance gets lowered down to either 1 or 0. And allows much more stone to be broken if the stone was stationary. Or compared to if the stone was stationary. Now, that's all I have constructed down here so far. But we do have this portal that's opened up. And it's filled with ice. Not so sure what that's about, but I will report back on that later. For now, I'm not going to deal with it. But it is there. Anyway, let's go ahead and get out of here before things get too hairy. Oh, and I did forget one more thing to mention, which was that between episodes, I finished up this map, and it is absolutely gargantuan. This is over 2,000 map items that it's taken to map out this entire area. And if, well, hopefully YouTube compression isn't too bad on this, but on screen now I'm going to try and edit in just a full render of this map that I took just to kind of get a better scale on things. And also I'm probably going to use that to plan some things out where I can. But yeah, this is, or I guess was, an absolutely massive undertaking to do, and took at least a few weeks to finish. But honestly, the result is definitely worth it. Although there is one small downside to this, and that is that if I go ahead and fly over here, just barely out of range where the maps stop loading in properly, and then I turn around, I get a pretty strong frame drop, especially when like the texture's kind of not super loaded in, but but the map underside is. That gives a decently substantial amount of lag, especially when I'm first loading in the area. As you can see, massive lag spikes when it pops into rendering and out. Well, when it pops out of rendering, it's fine, but when it pops in, that is a pretty strong spike. And if I don't have the area around it loaded, it can get pretty annoying. But other than that, it is still quite spectacular. You can even get a closer look here. Let's see, I should have some items in this chest to power up with. Not really, but I do have basalt. So let's go up and how about we look at... Let's look at my woodland mansion there. Go ahead and power up. And of course this was taken before the fire burnt everything down. And basically this means that everything in this world is perfectly preserved, at least from the top-down perspective, from when the world was first generated. And that's due to the fact that I never actually built anything before, or built anything on the surface before taking this map. So everything is fresh in as it originally was. And actually some of the loading lava, or I guess flowing lava, didn't fully get out, or like completely flowed. It didn't completely flow to where it went to go. That's not quite how that is phrased. But yeah, some of the lava places didn't complete flowing by the time the map was already made. So we even have some of that kind of preserved as well. So I think that's a little interesting. And there are definitely some interesting looking areas around here. Like this, I didn't get too good of a look in there, but this looks like it could be cool. And down over here, let's just pillar our way over. This area looks absolutely stunning in person. You can kind of get some of the effect from the fact that you've got all of this like rippling here, but these mountains are just spectacular. Oh, and then there's also over here, this little chunk here. This whole bit is raised up super high. It's just a giant like mountain right there, which also is very, very inspiring terrain to work in. So hopefully, 5 years from now, I can start building here. But for now, to kind of get more established in our projects of the world, I'm just too short to reach that. What I want to do next for the rest of this episode is get to the beginnings of my final wither skeleton farm. I found a pretty decent not wither skeleton station. What's it called? Nether fortress. Around about whatever 1,000 times root 2 is. What is root 2? Root 2 is like 1.4. So 1.4 thousand blocks away from our central nether, I guess, hub, or our central island in the nether. And if I recall, it is in that direction on the map. So northeast. So let's go ahead and, well, I'm probably going to take the next couple days and start mining a tunnel over there. But I'll see you when I actually reach that fortress. All right, we are here in the fortress area. Where are my rockets? And this is the fortress that we're going to be looking at. Now, I have a resource pack on right now that allows me to take away the nether fog. It'd be a little hard to see otherwise, but you can see that we have this just long stretch of fortress here, plus a 2x2 of crossings. Let's make sure I'm not in imminent danger as I get shot by a fireball. And the plan for this farm here is to for now, just take advantage of this 2x2 crossing. Still get shot at. And what we're going to do is we're going to get 2 levels of a grass platform and have wither roses on top of that to make sure all spawns are the wither skeletons and not these flamey boys in the background. What? Did this dude have thorns? I don't know what just happened there. And then in the center of this 2x2 and 2 tall platform, I'm just on fire. Let's go back up. In the center of that 2x2, we're going to have either a villager or just me standing there. And that will attract all the wither skeletons to a central point. And that's where we're going to set up the small killing chamber that will be taking care of the wither skeletons. Now later on, when I want more wither skeletons, actually no, I won't be able to stand in the center, so it'll have to be a villager or something. I know there's something that attracts wither skeletons that I will inevitably have to transfer all the way back over here. But in the future, if I want to expand this, I will expand along that long stretch here and use up this space. And what we'll do is we'll have a central, we'll basically just repeat the idea of the crossing just 2 or 3 more times down this way. I'm gonna get hit. There's a skeleton around here and I don't know where he is. But I do want to punch him. There we go. So we're gonna take advantage of this long stretch here to just expand the length of that farm. Hello. Please go away. How did I get XP from that? Why did I... Oh, this guy. But yeah, this long stretch here will be able to be utilized to just increase the length of the farm if I need to increase spawning platform size. And what we might do for this, if we go for the longer version, instead of relying on pathfinding, we might try and do some sweeper arms with flying machines that go back and forth. Sweeping everything to a central position. And then just having a long line of some sort of killing chamber that will have a hopper minecart running underneath it to collect all the drops. But for now, we should get started on turning this 2x2 crossing, or 2x2 of crossings, into a working platform for spawning, which means I need to mine out that bit too. And kill this guy. Get out of here. I don't want you here. Alright, but that also means I have to make the long trek back. Oh, and I missed it. Ooh-ah. But at least I can mine some of it out some more. This is gonna take another hour. Anyway, I'll see you with hopefully some grass platforms laid down. Okay, it is a couple days later now, and I've cleared out the tunnel enough that I can fly down it to make the trip a lot more faster when transporting materials, especially with all the shulker boxes I have now too. And so today, in real world days, or in real world time, I want to go ahead and take an hour and see how far I can get with building up this wither skeleton farm here. I've got some dirt, I've already got fire resistance on, and we're just going to see how far I can get in about an hour in a time lapse. So let's go ahead and get started here. Alright, I've recently flown back to the Wither Skeleton Farm after constructing everything there. And I ended up going a little farther than I expected. I should have a couple seconds left on that. So we've got the border all lined up for the spawning radius. And we also have just the entire farm, minus the exterior slabbing and the wither roses, pretty much complete. Let's get some blocks here because I died, obviously. And I need to reclaim my stuff because I got shot by a skeleton and then knocked into a wither skeleton, and there is my grave. Now, I am over lava, and that is concerning. Because I don't know if it's going to spew all my stuff out below. But that would not be very good. Alright. Up. Oh, let's not stand in the kill chamber while I put armor on. Pickaxe sword goes over here. What am I missing? No, that's everything. Alright, and now that I'm all set up again, I can go ahead and show off how the farm actually works. And this time I'm going to remember to eat. So we've got these 5x5 killing chambers, just with the corners taken off because I don't need them. Get out of here. And here we have piglins, which happen to be the mobs that attract wither skeletons, because apparently the two mobs like to fight. And so that is why the wither skeletons will always attract down into these chambers. Now sometimes regular skeletons will just pathfind down, or piglins like that guy will also just pathfind down, and that boy there, who gets up, will sometimes fall down and kind of mess with things. But once we get the wither roses in, hence why we're farming the wither skeletons in the first place, so that we can actually get wither roses. Once we have wither roses, we can fill the grassy areas completely with wither roses, and that will make it so that only wither skeletons can spawn inside. Now, let's go ahead and kill off these last few. And of course, once we have the area around here slabbed, you can see the very border of it over there in blue. Once we have the whole area outside slabbed, we'll get tons and tons of spawn rates inside. And once we have the entire area inside covered in wither roses, we'll get massive spawn rates of just wither skeletons, meaning our actual efficiency of the farm will be a lot better. Now, one thing I forgot to bring here was pumpkins, because what I wanted to do, which I'll do probably between episodes at this point, is set up some iron golems in these corners here. So one here, to encourage the wither skeletons to basically walk up to them and get killed by the iron golems. And that way I don't have to come down here and actually kill the mobs by hand. One problem that might arise from that is that other mobs, such as the blazes or the zombie piglins, not pigmen at this point, I think, would also attack the iron golems, and since they're not 3 blocks tall, they'll be able to actually reach the iron golems. So I may need to do some reconstruction. I don't think I can... I might be able to grow pumpkins without water. I haven't tested that. But if so, I'll set up a pumpkin farm here. Oh, maybe you can use cauldrons as a workaround? I don't know if that counts. That'd be an interesting thing to look into. Yeah, so I might get a pumpkin farm set up here so that I don't have to really worry about the iron golems dying. I can just rebuild them easily enough. Because they can be held in pretty much by just 2 blocks. So they'll have a 2x2 area, and what I'll be able to do is go 1, 2 just like that, and then 1, 2 just like that, and then they would have just a 2x2 platform there, and that would hold them in sufficiently enough. And so that gives me a 3 wide line of blocks where I can actually go ahead and build the iron golem and then just nudge it into the proper space. So that's actually a really simple setup there. Other than that, what are these? Oh yeah, I put those there to grab my items. Other than that, the farm is pretty much fully functional. I'm able to get a fair number of wither skeleton skulls out of this place. I was hoping I could get one on... Was that coal or was that a... That was a skull. Magic of coincidence, I guess. I was able to get a wither skeleton skull on camera, just like I was talking about. Alright, but we can go ahead and add this to the collection, which is also a good segue into the next thing to show off. Which is, if we go off this way, I'm not going to go inside the farm, because as you can currently hear, there are blazes in there, and the blazes can shoot the piglins when they try and shoot me, and the piglins are very much flammable. I've also been smelting up some netherrack here, or some nether brick I should say, because these get turned into slabs that, well, they were used to coat the fortress. Now, not so much, because I already finished the fortress. Let's go ahead and put these away, and we can grab out our get-ahead box. And so just from constructing this farm and doing a decent bit of clearing around, we've been able to get 16 wither skeleton skulls right there. And so that will allow me to get a bunch of beacons, and those beacons will be able to get dispersed around my world wherever I want to start and do some building or some mining, and that'll allow me to build the world around me much faster. Because I really want to be able to expand out to the entire breadth of the island I have mapped out. Now, one thing I want to show off here before I go is that for this large-ish section of land, I want to just mine it out by hand instead of just slabbing it over. Because it'll make the area look a little better. B, because I want the blocks. And C, there isn't a really good reason for it, but it saves me having to slab over the area. And so if I can kill, I guess it's a semi-okay reason, if I can kill two birds with one stone by A, gathering my resources that are nether related, and getting rid of the spawnable areas around the fortress, I'd say it's worth the extra time spent getting this thing up and running. And as you can see, we've got a beacon down there, so I can just go ahead and instant mine it all. And it is a fairly sizable chunk of land. But nothing I can't handle with, you know, a handful of months. But for now, we're going to go ahead and fly out of here and end off the episode. So that's going to do it for today. So I will see you in the ceiling, apparently, in the next one. Bye. There's a turn here. 3, 2, 1. Hey, ow. This is a very deadly tunnel. Ow. Ooh, ow. And I got 2 more from collecting the B-roll from inside. That's pretty cool.